At 10
Yes,
o'clock.
sir.
Okay. All right. All right. Yes. So Ikra, have you covered anything in statistics?
Yes, sir. We've covered a lot of portion. First, introduction from both sides. In statistics, we did collection of data, organization of data,
Mm-hmm.
presentation of data, and now we are almost about to complete measures of central tendency. And then
Mm-hmm.
for microeconomics, we did the introduction, central problem, utility and equilibrium,
Mm-hmm.
indifference curve,
Mm-hmm.
and budget set and line, theory of demand, and price elasticity of
Elasticity. Okay.
demand.
So you have covered pretty much everything in economics.
She goes too fast, too fast,
All right. Your teacher goes too fast.
very fast.
Okay. So we will be starting the collection of data. And Arisha, have you attended the previous class of economics of statistics? Arisha, have you
Yes.
attended the yesterday's class?
No, not
No.
yesterday's class.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So we will be discussing about the collection of data in this session. So let's start. First of all, in this chapter, we will talk about the statistical inquiry. Okay. So any one of you, do you have any idea what is statistical inquiry?
Searching information that is conducted by statistical method.
Searching information which is conducted by a statistical method. All right. And Arisha, any idea what is statistical inquiry? Okay, no problem. See, statistical inquiry, first of all, just a minute. Statistical inquiry. See, suppose there is a person. There is a person, let's say there is Mr. X, and he wants to know about a particular entity. Let's talk about suppose he wants to know about Microsoft. All right. He want to know he wants certain information regarding Microsoft. For example, he wants to know the total revenue of Microsoft. Total revenue of Microsoft. He also wants to know the total number of employees work there. Total number of employees. Total number of workers employed in the Microsoft. Also, what is the overall profit of the company? All right. So these are the various information that he and other information as well. So basically, Mr. X want to inquire regarding the revenue, number of employees, and profit that Microsoft earned during the year. So the process of the process of getting information about the Microsoft is basically called statistical inquiry. Mr. X Mr. X is called the investigator. The person who conduct the statistical inquiry is called the investigator. And regarding whom the information is required is called the subject matter. This is our subject matter. So Mr. X want to collect the information regarding Microsoft. So Microsoft is a subject matter, and Mr. X wants to collect information. And which kind of information? Information can be categorized into two parts. There are two types of information. One is called the qualitative information, and then there is quantitative information. Okay. So
Sir,
in
your
stat,
screen, it's a little blurry.
okay, is everything blurry? on screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I think I'll have to share the screen. Just a minute. Is this clear now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here I was talking about that there is a person, Mr. X, who want these information regarding the Microsoft revenue, employees that are employed with the Microsoft, and the amount of profit that Microsoft generates. So the information in statistics basically can be categorized as the qualitative information and the quantitative information. Statistics only deals with the quantitative information about a subject matter. Statistics does not deal with the qualitative information. So Mr. X wants to know the all the information that Mr. X wants to know is considered as the quantitative information. For example, he wants to know the figure of the revenue, that what is the amount of total revenue that Microsoft earns. For example, Microsoft earns total 500 crores of revenue. So this is the quantitative information. Total number of workers employed with the Microsoft is, let's say, 2000 workers are there. So this is a quantitative. Anything which can be expressed in terms of number is considered as the quantitative information. All right. So statistical inquiry is all about collecting the quantitative information about a subject matter by the investigator. The statistical inquiry is all about collecting the quantitative information regarding a subject matter by the investigator. So this is how we can explain the statistical inquiry. Just a minute. See, this is the definition. Statistical inquiries refers to an investigation on any subject matter by an agency or an investigator with a view to collect the relevant quantitative information. A statistical inquiry refer to an investigation on any subject matter by an agency or an investigator with a view to collect the relevant quantitative information. All right. And the basic purpose of statistical inquiry is to collect the fact and figure about anything. Basically the information that we collect is considered as the quantitative information, and about any entity about any entity that we collect information is considered as the subject matter for the statistical inquiry. All right, so there are few elements of statistical inquiry, and basically there are four elements in the statistical inquiry. First of all, there is an investigator. The person who conduct the statistical inquiry is considered as the investigator. Just a minute. Let me share the screen PowerPoint with you. Okay, the person who investigate, the person who collect the information is called the investigator. And sometime investigator also employ someone to assist him in the process of collecting information. That person is called the enumerator. So enumerator is one of the element of statistical inquiry. The person who help the investigator in collecting the information is called enumerator. And then there is a respondent who gives you the information regarding any subject matter. All right, so if you want to collect information regarding Microsoft, and you basically arrange a meeting with the director of the Microsoft, so in that case director will be giving you the relevant information about the Microsoft. Then the director is considered to be the respondent of the in the statistical inquiry. And then there is a method of collecting information which is called survey. So these are the various elements of statistical inquiry. There are four elements of statistical inquiry. First is there should be an investigator, right? And then there is an enumerator, the person who assists the investigator in collecting the information, that is called enumerator. Then we have yes, Ikra, please ask your question.
Sir, I wanted to ask that as you gave an example for Microsoft, so like there are many other companies and all the survey, and for us as people, we can just Google it up and we can get the most recently updated surveys. So I wanted to ask that the investigator, like there must be someone above them, right? So is it the government who is in charge of all these things?
Yeah, anyone who is conducting the inquiry, who is conducting the overall investigation process, is considered as the investigator, right? So it can be government, it can be a private entity, or anyone who required information is considered as the investigator.
All
So,
right, sir.
statistical inquiry can be conducted by anyone, either the private entity or the public entity, government, or any private institution.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have 4 elements in the statistical inquiry. First was the investigator, then there is an enumerator, and after that there is a respondent who basically gives you the relevant information about anything, and then there is a method of collecting information, and that method can be a telephonic survey. You can basically call the person and collect the relevant information. You can also basically arrange a face-to-face meeting, and there are various methods by which statistical information can be collected. So all of those methods by which inquiries are conducted or statistical information are collected are collectively known as survey. All right, so these are the various element involved in the statistical inquiry. Now let's move to the what are the various sources of collection of data. All right, so we are done with the statistical inquiry, right? Now the purpose of conducting the statistical inquiry is to collect the relevant data about any entity, or that is any subject matter. Now the data can be collected either from the entity directly, that is you can directly visit to the entity and collect the relevant information, or sometime it is collected by the investigator outside the entity from the sources which do not which are outside the entity are called external sources, and sources which are internal, wherein the investigator visit the company, visit the entity or organization, and directly collect the relevant information from the concerned authority in that particular institution or entities. Then the source of data will be considered as the internal source. If investigator is collecting information from some outside sources, then it will be considered as the external source. All right, so if you collect the information directly from the company itself, then it is called internal source. Otherwise, if you are arranging information, or if you are collecting information from from some other source, from some outsider, then it will be considered as the external source. Now external source has been further categorized as the primary and the secondary source. See, sometime what happened, if you want to collect information, let's take an example to understand this. Okay, suppose there is a person who want to know about the Microsoft, correct? Microsoft. And instead of directly visiting the company, he's trying to collect the information from some outside source. All right, and this person is this person is basically collecting the entire information on his own. He is making the entire effort. He is spending time and cost for collecting information. So the investigator himself makes the effort. He himself spends some time and cost for collecting the information regarding the Microsoft. All right, so this is considered as this is called the primary source of collecting data. This is the primary source of collecting data. And what happens, sometimes we collect the information from some third party. He already have collected certain information regarding Microsoft. He have uh, collected few information regarding Microsoft, let's say 6 months ago. All right, and he have certain information in possession of him. So instead of spending time and cost and making effort, you directly go to him and ask for the information regarding the Microsoft, and he gives you the entire information. So this time you are not making any effort to collect the information on your own. Rather, you are directly visiting this person who is in possession of the relevant information, and you have collected the information regarding the Microsoft directly from this person. So this is called the secondary source. when you have made an effort to collect the information on your own, then it is called the primary source of collection of data. And if you have collected the information from some other source, from you are basically using the information collected by some other person. Some other person have
Sir?
made the effort to collect the information, and you are using that information. All right, so that will be called secondary source. Yes.
Sir, if we collect information from the second person who has already conducted this, so will he or she not be charging us? Because
Yeah,
they spend their time, they spend their
obviously they will be
effort.
charging you. They will be charging you certain amount of money. Let's say he's saying that I will give you the information regarding the Microsoft because I have already conducted the research and everything. So I have the required information. I have the information that you requires. But for giving this information, I will charge you rupees. Let's say this he will charge rupees 5,000 for giving the entire information. So we will pay him the amount, and he will give us the relevant information. So this is called the secondary source of collecting the data. And if you are making you're making the entire effort on yourself, and spending all of the time and cost, then that will be considered as the primary source.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now tell me, acha, there is one more thing. The information that is collected from the primary source, the information which is collected from the primary source is called primary data. This is called primary data. And the data which is collected from the secondary source is considered as the secondary data. Data which is collected from the secondary source is called secondary data, and data which is collected from the primary source is called the primary data. Now, there are just a minute. Okay, so primary source include primary data, secondary source, in secondary source we have the secondary data. Now primary data has been further categorized as the direct personal investigation, the indirect oral investigation, telephonic interview, mail questionnaires, and questionnaire by enumerator. These are various methods of collecting the primary data. We will cover these topics in the upcoming sessions, but for the time being we will restrict our discussion to the primary data and secondary data only. So tell me, is the sources of collection of data is clear to both of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir. But like for example, if we search up some stats, okay, regarding anything, so will that also be considered as secondary data? But we are not purchasing or directly contacting to the person who has conducted the survey. Like for example, there are many sites we can search up through the internet, which would give us the results.
mhm.
So is that secondary data as well?
No, this is a primary data. Basically, the person who requires the information makes the entire effort on his own regarding the collection of data that will be covered under the primary source. So if you require any information regarding Apple, Microsoft, or any company, and you do the entire effort on yourself, so this will be considered as the primary source, and the data collected through that source is will be treated as the primary data. Getting my point? So if let's say you
Yes.
want to collect information regarding Google or Microsoft or any other company regarding their sales revenue, regarding their cost, regarding any kind of information that you require, and you are spending the entire time, well, you are spending the time, you are making the effort, you are spending cost, you're doing everything on yourself. You're not relying on some other person. You are not using the information collected by some other person. You are collecting the information, you are searching the internet by yourself only. So this will be called the primary source, and the data is considered as the primary data. Is it
Yes,
clear?
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now we will now differentiate between the primary and the secondary data. This is very important from examination point of view. Just a minute, let me skip these topic for now. We will be covering these topic later. So difference between the primary and secondary data. So we can you differentiate the differentiate between primary and secondary data considering these points? Can you differentiate on the basis of originality which data will be considered more original, primary data or the
Primary
secondary?
data.
Got
Primary
it.
Primary.
data.
Perfect. And on the basis of sources, primary data is collected from primary source, secondary data is collected from the secondary source. So this is the second difference. The third difference is on the basis of reliability, we can say that primary data, because we have collected the information on our own, we have made the entire time and effort, spent the time and effort. So this will be considered as more reliable. And secondary data is basically we are receiving the information from some third party. We have collected the information from some third party, and this obviously this will not be as reliable as the data that we have collected. So secondary data is less reliable, primary data is considered more reliable. Fourth point of difference can be time. Can you tell me which data takes more time to collect?
Primary
Primary data
data.
will take a longer time or secondary data?
Primary data.
Primary data, correct. Now on the basis of cost as well, we can differentiate. On the basis of cost, tell me in which kind of data there will be huge amount of cost will be involved, greater amount of cost will be involved. Primary, secondary or primary?
Secondary
I
data.
think secondary.
Why?
So
Because it
because
might-
primary data, the person, the only charges might be for traveling from one place to another and all. And since they worked so hard, they would charge more than what it has costed them, right? While they're giving down the information.
Correct. But primary data actually cost more because see, the cost basically depends upon the area of investigation. And if the area of investigation is large, usually primary data cost more, and the area of investigation is small, then primary data, collection of primary data will cost you less. All right. So, but generally it is considered that because you are spending your time and you will be applying cost as well, because you will employ enumerators, you will have to pay the salary of the enumerators. All right. So therefore you will have to incur cost, and that cost will increase depending upon the size of investigation. If you are, let's say, if you are to inquire 1 lakh people, if you have to collect information regarding something by inquiring 1 lakh people in your locality or in your state or city, then you will require so many enumerators. They will go to each and every person and they will collect information, whatever the information that you require. So that will involve huge amount of cost. In case of secondary data, you do not have to basically employ any enumerator. You just goes to the third person who is in possession of that particular information. You pays him certain amount of money and you get the report done. So generally it is considered that primary data cost more as compared to the secondary data, because primary data involves time, because it also involve effort, it also involve expenses. Hence, all in all, it becomes more expensive as compared to the secondary data. Is it clear to both of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now, the sixth point, can you tell me in which kind of data we will have to take more precautions? See, whenever the data that we collect is basically data is later used for drawing particular kind of opinion or conclusion, right? Whenever you collect information, the purpose of collecting information is to make certain opinion or conclusion, right? So whenever you are making conclusion based on some other information, some others information, then there is a chance, there is a risk that it can go wrong, because you yourself haven't collected such information. You are relying on the information given by some other person. So there is a chance of, there is a higher there is a higher risk when we use the secondary data, correct? But when we have collected the information on our own, and on the basis of such information we are making the opinion or reaching to a particular conclusion, then there is a chance, then there is a less risk, right? So in that case we will have to take less precaution as compared to the secondary data. So more precaution is required in case of secondary data, and less precaution will be required in case of primary data. Getting my point? Why we are talking about the precaution basically is related to the risk of the opinion getting wrong. Whatever the opinion that we are going to make based on the data, it can go wrong and there is a higher possibility that it can go wrong when we use the secondary data. If we are using the primary data, because primary data we have collected on ourselves, therefore there is a less chance that it can go wrong. So we have to take less precaution in case of primary data, but in case of secondary data we will have to apply more precaution. Tell me, is this clear to all of you?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
So today I asked,
Sorry, Peer.
sir, now it's class
So
is going on, or
Peer, have you attended the previous class of the statistics? Yesterday's class, have you attended the yesterday
yes,
class?
sir.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
you do not have to attend this class. We are basically, I'm giving backup to these students. All right, so you just
Okay, sir.
attend the account class at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay, you can leave the session. All right, guys. So is it clear? Is everything clear till this point? What is a statistical inquiry? What are the various sources of collection of data, and what are the differences between the primary and the secondary data? Is
Yes,
everything
sir.
clear till this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's move to the next slide. Now we will be talking about survey. So as I have already told you, the survey are basically those methods by which information are collected. And in statistics, we have categorized the surveys into two parts. There are two types of survey. One is called the census method and the other is called the sampling method, right? Census and sampling. These are the various methods by which information is collected. So let's first talk about census method. So census method, in order to understand census method, let's take an example. Just a minute. Okay. Okay, let's talk about this person. Just a minute. Suppose he's Mr. Ramesh, and Ramesh wants to start a business. He want to start a business of shoes in a city, correct? And because he want to start the business of shoes, he is basically interested in knowing the customer preferences. He want to know what kind of shoes in his city. Just a minute. He wants to know the customer preferences. He basically wants to know whether the customer prefer the leather shoes or the sports shoes or the formal shoes or canvas shoes. So he want to collect these information, that which customer or how many customer prefer the leather shoes, sports shoes or formal shoes and canvas shoes, etc. So that accordingly he can decide which shoes he should manufacture, and so that he can maximize his overall profit. All right. The problem is that in his city there are around, let's say, 1 lakh people reside in a city. Total population of the city is 1 lakh, and he wants to collect the information regarding the preferences of shoes of customers. So there are two options of collecting this information. First option is that he goes to each and every person in a city and asks for the customer preferences regarding the shoe type. He visit every person and ask questions that what kind of shoe they prefer, what is the amount that they can pay for certain kind of shoes. These kind of question he asks from each and every person. So if he visit each and every person in a city and ask the question from each and every person and collect the relevant information, then we call it the census method of collecting information. This is called census method of collecting the information. All right. The good thing about the census method is that he gets the detailed information regarding customer preference. Detailed information regarding the customer preference. And because information that he's getting is detailed, so there is a high chance of accuracy as well. Because he have visited each and every person, he hadn't left any person in a city, he have asked each and every person regarding the shoe preference. So whatever the conclusion he will make based on the information will be accurate. 100% accuracy will be there, because conclusion is being made on the basis of the information that he have received from each and every person. But the problem of this method is that this will take a lot of time, and this will also involve huge amount of cost as well, and this will also take a lot of effort to conduct this overall basically survey. All right. So if Mr. Ramesh wants to start a business, he obviously want to know the customers' preferences regarding the shoe type. And for that purpose, if he goes to each and every person in a city and ask their preferences regarding shoe, then this method of collecting information is considered as the census method. All right. There is one more method of collecting information, which is called sampling method. Sampling method. What is a sampling method? In case of sampling method, what did the Ramesh do? Ramesh basically goes to only, he thought that going and visiting to each and every person in a city will take a lot of time and cost. So he decided that he will only visit 5,000 people out of 1 lakh only. Out of 1 lakh, he will only visit 5,000. He will ask a question from only 5,000 people. He will try to collect the relevant information from that 5,000 people only, correct? And based on the information, based on this information, he will be going to make conclusion or opinion. Based on this information only, he will be making opinion whether which kind of shoes he should make or not. All right. So this method of collecting information is called sampling method, because in this method he has decided to collect information from 5,000 people instead of total 1 lakh people. So the best thing about this method of collecting information, that this method take less time compared to the census method. But the problem is that there is one more advantage, that it will take less cost also. There will be less cost involved, less effort will be involved as compared to the census method. Now the problem is that in case of sampling method, the information that he will be getting in case of sampling method will not be as detailed as compared to the census method. So detailed information, he won't be able to collect the detailed information, first of all. Secondly, because the information that he is getting is not in detail, therefore there is the opinion or the conclusion that he will be making, there is a chance that it will not be very accurate. Accuracy is the problem in the sampling method. All right. So basically, there are two methods of collecting information: survey and census. Census is basically when you collect information regarding anything from each and every item in the population size. And when you select few items to collect the particular information and leave the other items, then it is called sampling method. So for example, you must have noticed that whenever our parents goes to grocery market, you must have, let me zoom out a little. Zoom in. Okay. You must have noticed that whenever our parent goes for the grocery shopping, and let's suppose our parents are, for example, your mom is buying onions. Have you ever noticed that suppose she is buying 2 kilogram of onions? Does she check each and every onion that she is picking and putting it in the poly bag? Does she check each and every piece of onion? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Not
No.
every piece, but like
Few. I mean, basically, when she decide that whether she should buy the onions or not, she just pick few and check the quality of those onions, and based on the quality of those which she picked, she decide whether whether onion should be bought or not. So ultimately, your mom or basically anyone who goes for the grocery shopping generally apply sampling method of collecting the information, right? We are collecting information regarding the type and quality of the particular product, and we are not checking each and every item, hence we are applying the sampling method. All right. Similarly, if you are going for the, let's say you goes to a retail shop and you are buying rice, all right, and you have to buy a packet of rice. Let's say packet of rice is of 10 kilogram. All right. So what do we usually do? We take few rice in our hand, and if that seems good, we decide whether we should buy this or not. On the basis of few grams of rice only, we decide whether to buy that entire packet or not. So in that case also we are applying the sampling method to reach to a particular conclusion. Similarly, in statistics also we have two method of collecting information. One is called the census and the other is called sampling method. So in case of census method, when a statistical investigation is conducted wherein the data is collected from each and every item, each and every element of the population size, it is known as census method. All right. For example, let's talk about let's talk about my class. Let's say I have 60 students in my class, and I want to know about their age. I want to know their average age. Okay, that the student, just a minute. Yes, Ikra, just a minute. So this is the previous slide.
No, sir, not this one. The one before this.
Okay, I got it. On the PowerPoint. All right. This is. So yeah, I was saying that suppose there are 60 students in my class and I want to have an idea regarding their age. I want to know what is the average age of my students. All right. And if I go to each and every person, if I go to each and every person, each and every student and ask their age, and then I reach to a point of conclusion that my student in my class are of average age of 17 years, for example. So because I have asked the question to each and every student, I have inquired each and every student regarding their age and then made this conclusion. So this will be called the census method of collecting information. All right. And on the other hand, if instead of going to each and every student, if instead of asking each and every student about their age, what I have done, there are few students who sit just in front of the in the front row of the class. So I inquired only those students. Let's say in the front rows there are 10 students. So I just ask those 10 students, and based on their answers, based on their ages, I have made a conclusion that the student in my class is of average age of 16 years. Getting my point? So in the second case, I am applying sampling method to reach to a particular point of conclusion. And in the first example, I was using census method. All right. Is this clear, Ikra and
Yes,
Alisha?
sir.
Okay. Now, so when a statistical investigation is conducted wherein the data is collected from each and every element of the population, it is known as census method. And in the census method, is generally applied when the area of investigation is small or requires intensive study. So whenever the detailed information is required, first of all, then census method is considered more suitable. If you want the detailed information, all right, you don't want to leave anything, then census method will be considered more suitable. And census method is also considered suitable only when the area of investigation is not so large. Let's suppose you have to collect information regarding just the example that I was taking, that Mr. Ramesh, Ramesh is starting a business and he wants to collect information regarding the shoe preferences of the customers, and there are 1 lakh people who lives in a city, right? And suppose if he applies the census method to collect the information, don't you think this will take a lot of time and this will take a lot of cost? So do you think this will be this will be suitable for that particular kind of inquiry?
No, sir.
No. In that case, we should apply the sampling method, right? So whenever the area of investigation is small, census method is suitable. All right. And census method is also suitable when you require the information, when you require the detailed information regarding something. All right. So are you guys taking the screenshot of this slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Done?
Yes, sir.
Now let's move to the next slide. Let's talk about the merits of the census method. Can any one of you tell me what do you think are the merits of this method, census method?
Detailed.
We get detailed information,
Correct. First, we get the detailed information. Then
100% accuracy.
100% accuracy will be there. Correct. Okay. So it provides detailed information about the subject matter and it has a higher degree of accuracy. Now, there is one more thing. See, census method is, as I have told you, that it should be applied only when the area of investigation is small. Otherwise, it will take a lot of time and cost. Secondly, this should be applied whenever the detailed information is required. Third point is this should be applied when the items of the population are of heterogeneous nature, heterogeneous characteristic. Now, what is the meaning of heterogeneous? Heterogeneous basically means that item of the population are of different characteristic, different features. Every item has different feature and characteristic. Then to reach to a particular point of opinion or conclusion, we need to check each and every item. If we, in that case, if we apply the sampling method, then there is a chance that whatever the conclusion or opinion that we make might go wrong. For example, I ask Ikra to suggest me the best phone available in the market. All right. I am basically asking about the best phone available in the market in the price range of, let's say, 40,000. All right. So in that case, what Ikra will have to do, Ikra will have to basically search the entire market. She will have to compare each and every phone in the price segment of 40,000. Otherwise, the phone she will suggest, let's say she have only checked few phones, only 5 or 10 phones she have only selected, and he have checked the features of those phones only on, and on the basis of those only, she has given me an opinion that this particular phone is good as compared to the other. So there is a possibility that the opinion or the conclusion that she's making is incorrect, can be incorrect, because every phone available in the market is of different feature. So whenever we need to check, whenever we need to collect information regarding the heterogeneous items, we should apply the census method only. Getting my point? If we want to determine, if we want to evaluate which phone available in the market is the best phone, we have to check each and every phone to determine this, because every phone available in the market have different feature and characteristic. Some phones have the better quality of camera, some phone have the better processor, some has the better battery, some has the better screen size. Every phone have different features. So to decide which is the best phone, we'll have to check each and every phone to decide this. Getting my point? So basically census method is applied when the item of the population are of heterogeneous nature. There are two types of goods on the basis of nature. One can be the heterogeneous product and the other can be the homogeneous. Homogeneous basically means every item in the population size is almost same as the other one is, as the other one are. So if the item of the population are of heterogeneous nature, then we should apply the census method. Otherwise, we should apply the sampling method. Is this clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Merits are clear. So first merit is that the detailed information we get through this. The second merit is that there is a higher degree of accuracy. And the third one cannot be considered as the merit. Instead, it should be written in the features of the census method, that census method is more suitable when the heterogeneous information is given. All right. Okay, now let's move to the demerits. Demerits are, first of all, first demerit is it takes more time because every item need to be checked, every item required to be inquired. So this will take more time. This will also be more expensive because we will be requiring lot of enumerator if the size of area of investigation is large. So we'll have to employ so many enumerators. Then it is not suitable for large population size. So these are the three demerits of this census method. Tell me, Arisha and Ikra, is merits and demerits are clear to both of you?
Yes, sir.
Now let's talk about the sampling method. Sampling method is when only some representative items of the population are selected and data is collected from those items only. Then it is known as sampling method. All right. For example, in my class, I want to decide whether the student of my class are uh, improving or not, whether they are basically studying at their homes or not, whether there is any improvement in their performance or not. And for that purpose, I have selected few students of my class only. Let's say student who sit just in the back benches. I have asked the question regarding particular topic from those only. All right. So in here I am basically collecting the information from few student of my class. So this means that this means that I am applying the sampling method. I am only selecting few student on the basis of their answers, I will be deciding whether my class is improving or not. So this means that I am applying the sampling method of collecting a particular kind of information. So when only some representative items of the population are selected and data is collected from those item only, then it is known as sampling method. And usually sampling method is suitable when the area of investigation is large. When the area of investigation is large, you cannot apply the census. Then in that case, we will apply the sampling method. All right. Can you tell me what could be the possible merits of the sampling method?
Less time consuming, doesn't cost much.
Yes. Okay. And first of all, reduce cost. Correct. And there will be greater speed in the overall process of statistical inquiry or the collection of information. Then third is it will be easier to administer as well, because in case of sampling method, we will be requiring less number of workforce. As compared to the census method, we will require more workforce. We will have to employ basically more enumerators. But in case of sampling method, we require less workforce. And because we are employing less number of workers, therefore it will be easier for us to manage everything. So sampling method is considered more convenient, administratively convenient, and obviously it will take less time and manpower. So these are the four merits, and there are few demerits of this system as well, this method as well. And demerits are, first of all, it is difficult to achieve 100% accuracy in case of sampling method, because this is obviously because we are not checking each and every item. We have just selected few items as the sample, and based on the information from those sample, we basically made our conclusion and opinion. Therefore there is a possibility that the conclusion or opinion that we have made can go wrong as well. So there is a difficulty to achieve 100% accuracy, and it requires more knowledge and experience. Can anyone of you explain this point to me? How it requires more knowledge and experience? Why sampling method require more knowledge and experience? I'm talking about investigator here. Why, in case of sampling method, investigator should be more knowledgeable and experienced? And
I am not sure, but let me try.
Mhm.
Maybe it's because we are conducting the survey from a small number of people comparing to the actual population.
Mhm.
So the information we collect, the person should know what they are collecting and what could. I'm not sure if I'm explaining it right or. Do
Okay,
you
no
have
problem. Okay. So Arisha, you will try.
Basically, kind of like, they should know what you have to ask and what, information you have to get from them, and like, get to the point and not like just, yeah.
Okay, got your point. So basically, see, actually, only a knowledgeable investigator or an experienced investigator can decide which item should be selected for the purpose of collecting the information. Getting my point? Because in case of sampling method, we are not gonna check each and every item. We are not collecting information from each item of the population. We are actually selecting few items, and on the basis of those items only, we are going to collect the information. And finally, on the basis of those information, we are going to make the conclusion and opinion. All right. So for the purpose of deciding that which item to be picked and checked, so that our conclusion and opinion can be accurate, for that purpose investigators should be knowledgeable and experienced. For example, let's uh let's assume that, just a minute, let me share the pad with you. Okay, suppose there is a chartered accountant. Suppose he's a chartered accountant. You know the role of chartered accountant. What does the chartered accountant do? Primarily, chartered accountants audit the accounts of the firm. There are various services chartered accountants provide, but one of those is auditing the financial statements. Auditing is basically means checking the financial statements of the company. Auditing financial statements of the company. All right. And I think you already know that financial statements are prepared on the basis of invoices, purchase invoice, sales invoice. All right. These invoices are invoices regarding sales and purchase are recorded in the various books, and based on the information recorded in the books, we prepare the financial statement. Okay, so to decide the accuracy of the financial statement, to decide whether the financial statement reflect the true and fair view of the company, true and fair picture of the enterprise or not, we'll have to check the financial statement, right? To ensure that the financial statement of the company reflect the true and fair view of the enterprise, we'll have to check the financial statement. And if and how can we determine whether the financial statement have been prepared correctly or not? We will have to cross check it on the basis of the purchase invoices and sales invoices that has been recorded in the book. For example, there are 10,000 sales invoices that company has made during the year, and there are, let's say, 20,000 purchase invoices as well. So these the information of these invoices must have been recorded in the books, and on the basis of the books, we have prepared the financial statement, right? So to check the accuracy of the financial statement, we'll have to check the value of the invoice, whether the values of the invoices has been recorded in the book properly or not. We'll have to check that. Correct? So tell me, if I start being a chartered accountant, suppose I have started checking each and every item, each and every invoices that company has made, each and every sales invoice, each and every purchase invoices I am checking to decide whether the financial statements has been made properly or not, accurately or not, whether this financial statement prepared reflect the true and fair view of the company or not. If I check each and every invoices, tell me which method of uh, statistical inquiry I am conducting. I am applying, sorry. Which method I am applying? I am applying
Census.
census method, correct. Census method in this case. But census method is going to take a lot of time. Now, I am working as an auditor for last 10 years for various companies. And I know which invoices should be checked, right? So I have decided that every transaction, every invoices that basically involves large amount of transaction. For example, invoices that contains transaction of rupee 1 lakh or more, there is a chance that uh, the value of those transaction must have been recorded in the books. Correct? I am presuming that the invoices that cost rupees 1 lakh or more must have been recorded properly in the books. And if the transaction is below 10,000, there is a possibility that workers have done some default in recording those transactions in the books. So being a experienced auditor, instead of checking each and every item, each and every invoice, I have decided I will check only 500 invoices, and this will contain invoices of different values starting from 50 to 50,000. I will check each and every invoices, and if the value of these invoices have been recorded properly in the books, I will presume that financial statements has been prepared accurately, and this will reflect the true and fair view of the company's financial position. So because I have decided that I will check only few items, few invoices instead of checking all the invoices, so that means I am applying the sampling method. And this sampling method obviously require more knowledge and experience, because on the basis of that only I'll be able to decide whether which invoice I should check or which should I skip, where I should not waste my time. Getting my point? So basically knowledge and experience, high knowledge and experience will be required in case of applying the sampling method. And the last demerit of this is that it does not provide detailed information, as only few items are taken into consideration. All right, therefore there is the problem of accuracy as well. So tell me, Arisha and Ikra, is everything clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in today's session we have covered these topics. We have covered the meaning of statistical inquiry, then we have covered the elements of a statistical inquiry, and I have told you that there are 4 elements in the statistical inquiry: investigator, enumerator, respondent, and the survey. Then we have covered the sources of collection of data. There are 2 sources, primarily internal and external. External has been further categorized as the primary and secondary. Primary source, the data collected from the primary source is called primary data, and the data collected from the secondary source is called secondary data. Primary data has been further categorized into various parts: direct, personal, investigation, and these we will be covering in the next class. And other than this, we have also covered the meaning of differences between the primary and the secondary data. And after this, we have covered the various method to conduct the survey, to collect the information, and that include 2 methods: census and sampling. So I hope everything is clear to both of you, Ikra and Arisha.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is it for today. You want to ask any doubt? Any
No,
doubt,
sir.
Ikra? Okay, so this is it for today, statistics part. We will continue from this point in tomorrow's session at the same time, 9 o'clock India time. All right. So
Yes.
both of you can leave this session now. All right.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you so
bye.
much, sir.
Bye. Peer, Samiksha, and Steve. We will start the session after a break of 2 minutes. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Just wait for 2 minutes. I'll be starting accounts part in 2 minutes.